Hi guys, and welcome back to OG Cars, and you join us in our lovely garage surrounded by many of our broken projects. Well, Mr. P's not broken now, which is ideal.
He's hibernating.
He's hibernating, yeah. We took out the counter there, so he's got a bit of space. In this video, we thought we would look at some of the cars that we've owned. Now, the problem is we've realised that between us there are over 80 cars that we have owned in our car lifetimes. So we figured that might be a bit too much for one video. So there will be a future video on all of the cars I've ever owned, but we're going to do G's cars today. Because there's less, under 30, may I add, she's going to rank them in this video. So we thought it would be a nice little idea for you guys.
So firstly, we like to try and remember all of this stuff off the top of our head, but it's just not possible. I will definitely forget what I rank them as. So Owen's phone is out. We've done PDFs on this. It took us hours of our time last night to do this, just so we can get an order. Now, I do want to clarify with this order, there might be some where I go, maybe I would rate that higher, maybe I'd rate that lower. We sort of went through this last night and we're pretty happy with the order. So if there's any you disagree with in the comments after this, let us know. Altogether, I've owned 27 cars, and the car I put in 27th place is the Skoda Favourite LS Estate that was parked outside of the barn in West Wales, and I've purely put it in that place because all I did was strip it down to a bare shell and sold it on to my friend Vernon. That's all the experience I had with that car, so I've ranked that as last. Car number 26 is the Volvo 340, which might be a bit controversial to some, but I literally owned that car for 10 days. I never gelled with it, I didn't like the way it drove. Cool car to look at, but that was about it. So I'm putting that car at 26 because I didn't like it.
I then stole it off of G and traded it for Mr. P.
So it worked out. Cars number 25 and 24 are both the Skoda Favourite GLX IEs that were in the barn in West Wales, the one being the CD edition, which I've put 24, purely because it's a bit of a special one. But again, same thing, it's purely because I pulled both those cars out of the barn. One of them went as they is, the CD edition we got running a little bit, but we never did anything really personal with those cars. We never got to experience them. So I think that's fair that they're slightly lower down than some of the other cars. Car number 23 is my Skoda Felicia. Now, I'm not saying this was a bad car. I actually quite liked it. But after the whole fiasco we had, where it broke down on us on a smart motorway, and it's one of the scariest experiences we both ever had, I never liked it after that moment, and I was quite keen to sell it on after that, despite after that being a good car. It ran, it drove, it took me to work. We had no problems with it after that. I think after that experience, I just wasn't the biggest fan of it anymore. Car number 22 is the Daihatsu Cure that I owned at the start of the year. Now, I bought this off of Owen the second he bought it. I really wanted to like it, but there was just one or two many problems with that car, to be completely honest with you. I did own it for 2 or 3 months, so I really did try to like that car. But I just wasn't the biggest fan of it, and I don't miss it now, it's gone. Car number 21 is the Fiat Cinquecento Sporting that me and Owen bought together, and the only reason I've ranked this so low is because I never really got to experience it. I got to drive it for a week or two, but then Owen ended up buying me out of my part of the car because he really liked it and it was his daily. But I've put it higher than the other cars because I was the one who found it on eBay, and I pestered Owen to buy it, and then he was really happy we bought it. And we did really like that car and we got to save it, so yeah, I'm happy that was one that I got to own, even if it was only for about 2 weeks. Car number 20 was a 1995 Skoda Favourite GLX IE, who we called Chips, while he'd been called Chips by the previous owner. Again, we saved this car, it had head gasket failure, so we did loads of work to it. But after it was back on the road, I actually did the swap with the Volvo 340, so I only really got to use the car for a short period of time and really enjoy it, and I just never gelled with it the same way I've gelled with my other Skoda Favourites. So whilst it was really good to save that car, I'm not ranking it as high as some of the other Skoda Favourites I owned, purely because we never really got to have that experience with it. But we did save it, so it's another one that was really good to own and keep on the road. Number 19 goes to another Skoda Favourite. That was my 136 LS named Henry. So if you don't know, Owen drove me all the way up to buy this car. We were told it was an immaculate 9,000 mile car. It was far from immaculate. The bodywork was completely not as we were told it was going to be. It was rusty.
Yeah.
We were quite disappointed, but we did get a good price for it anyway. And we thought, you know what, let's just experience this. We'd never had an early Skoda Favourite. And we did use it, and we put about 1,000 miles on it, which felt quite criminal considering the mileage. And whilst we loved it, it was just too big of a project with everything else, as you can tell, that we had going on. So we did end up selling that, and as far as I know, that car is currently being restored. So fingers crossed, you may see that car on the road. But yeah, the only reason I've rated that quite lowly is because the mileage was so low I couldn't really use it. So, you know, we did a fair few hundred miles in it in that year, but we didn't really use it a lot because we didn't want to take away its low mileage. Number 18 is another controversial one, I would say. It's my Citroen Saxo VTR. Now, I love that car. It was sort of one of those things of meet your heroes in a good way and a bad way, because it was a really fun car. I really loved driving it. I loved the attention it got, but in a bad way, it just wasn't what I was expecting condition-wise. And unfortunately, we came across quite a few problems, and I don't hide away from telling people on this. I lost money on that car purely to save it because that it needed welding.
Yeah.
And the welding really wasn't cost effective to me. I was sort of hoping I'd make the money back. I never did. Owen put a lot of time into that car, and whilst we both enjoyed it, once it was gone, we were happy to see the back of it.
Yeah, it was one of those cars which was lovely to own, really cool, really fun car, but condition-wise, it just put that rank down because it just wasn't... If you were going to buy a Saxo VTR, you want to buy the best of the best, really. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why Gavlar is rated a little bit lower than some of you might expect. And another controversial one is number 17. It's the Vauxhall Astra Merit I bought, the Disastra. And you're probably thinking, why on earth have you rated that above the Citroen Saxo? Because the condition of that was shocking.
It was.
Hand on heart, me and Owen had so much fun in that car. Once we realised it was as bad as we thought it was, we just not didn't care, but we could just have fun in it and not be too bothered about where we went in it, what we did in it. I did loads of trips in that. I took all my friends down to West Wales in that car. It's gone up a mountain. We did everything in that car, and we had so much fun in it, despite the condition. And the great thing was, after I sold it, it went on to someone who used it. I got to see it again at photo, still looking as faded as it ever did. It looked so good when it was there. Unfortunately, it now has no MOT, and I don't know what its fate is. But we had a lot of fun in that car. So whilst it was a bit poo, we really liked it.
We did.
Car number 16 is my Skoda Favourite Forum hatchback, and again, you might think that's a little bit low. Now, we saved this car. I bought the car, didn't really need to buy it, but I wanted to save it, and then Owen lovingly put loads of time and effort into saving that car. But the truth is, it sat in this garage and was fixed. A few days later, our friend came to view it, and then it went. So we never actually used that car, aside of it maybe doing a little lap around the village for a test drive and then going up to our friend's house. So I'm very happy we saved that car, hence it being rated so high, because it's such a clean car, and if you see his car out and about now, it looks absolutely amazing. He's done such a good job to it, but we never got to enjoy it, so that's why I've rated it a little bit lower than some of the other cars. Car number 15 is my 2005 Fiat Panda 4x4, and I'm rating this one a little bit higher than I maybe thought I would have, because it was a 4x4, and granted we've had classic 4x4s, but me and Owen had some really good fun in this Panda. We bought it for such a good price. Came up on Facebook, went to look at it, Owen was like, oh my god, it's really clean, you need to buy it. Yeah. And so we bought it there and then, and we used it for quite some time. It was sort of my daily, we'd take it whenever we went on holidays. You said the condition of it was really good.
It was a really good one, it was really clean. You know, it didn't have the usual 4x4 and older Panda issues, so it was a nice one.
Yeah, and you know, we got to use it off-road, we had a good laugh in that car, and I do love a 169, obviously it was my first car. Not this one, get onto that in a minute. But yeah, we really like that car, so that's why we put that at that ranking.
Let's roll straight on to the next one, because number 14 is Penny.
Yes, so the next car is Penny, the Fiat Panda Eco, and some of you might think, oh, you'd rate that car a little bit higher. I've had some really cool cars, so I really like Penny, and as of this video, she's now both of our daily. We share her together, we both like her that much, but it is just a daily car. Don't get me wrong, we've already made some nice memories in that car, we've got to use it a lot, it's helped us out with garage stuff and tip runs and shopping, it does everything for us. But that is all really is, like, whereas the cars you see around us at the moment, we've done so much with. Yeah. So we're putting Penny there purely because she's been a really good car to us when we've both had a bit of a rubbish time with cars, and we love Penny for that.
Yeah, good daily to see us through.
Absolutely. Car number 13 is my Mini Cooper S R53, and if you were to tell me a car that I bought in the last 2-3 years that I really miss, the R53, it's very high at the top of that list. I had so much fun in that car, and when I look back on it, I really regret trading it for the Saxo because I love the Mini. And yeah, okay, the Saxo was a dream car, don't get me wrong, but sadly the Mini comes in higher than the Saxo when I really look back on it. We loved the way it sounded, we had the sunroof, we just loved that car. It was a really nicely spec'd Mini Cooper R53, and if you were to give me one at the same price and the same spec, I probably would buy one again. I'm not even going to hide away from that, but maybe without a few problems, because that car did have a few problems that needed fixing, and so maybe if there was a better sorted one, maybe I would be seen in an R53 again.
It's the same as that Saxo thing, isn't it? It's one of those, almost like a hero car. It's like a cool hot hatch, but it just wasn't in the same condition and therefore not ranked quite. Although this is actually ranked very highly for you, considering the other cars we ranked so far as well.
Yeah. Number 12 is one of my favourite cars that I've bought, and I've rated it this lowly purely because it was a bit rubbish. It was my Citroen AX Highlight Edition Axle. I adored that car, and you know what? It's the first classic car I've ever put my sister in, and she loved it. Everywhere we go, she'd be like, "We're not going out in my brand new Clio, we're going out in Axle." We loved that car to bits. It was hideously rare. I found it come up around the corner in Cardiff purely on the advert saying it's a special edition with spots on it, and I went, "Oh my god, I want it." Went to view it. I paid a few £100 for it, and sadly when it got home, I had a good look around it. I'd shown Owen some pictures over FaceTime, and when we did have a look at it, it just wasn't very good. The condition of it sadly had sort of deteriorated, and it was sold on. As far as I know, it's still going at the moment, but that car just wasn't in great condition, hence me rating it so lowly, but saying I love it so much.
Yeah.
Number 11 is another car that pulls at my heartstrings, and that is Percy, who was my 2008 Fiat Panda Active, so the first car I ever bought. Now obviously this car would have never featured on the channel. Owen never would have met this car, but that is actually a lie because Owen has seen this car. So basically it was my mum's car. When I was learning to drive, she realised that I loved that car, so she gave it to me. And then when I was finished with the car, it went to live with a neighbour a few doors down, and that's exactly where it is today. But I've put that car so highly because it's the reason I ended up meeting Owen, in effect. I got into Pandas. It's the reason I ended up meeting one of my best mates, Andy, because I got into Pandas. It gave me my freedom. It gave me this whole new thing on life with cars. And that's why I rate Percy so highly. Even though he was just a base spec Panda, I love that car to bits.
Okay guys, so we're entering now the top 10, and in at number 10 we have a car that we actually share, and that is the Fiat Panda 4x4 Sisley from 1987, Edna, the dark red Sisley. What do you have to say about number 10?
I love Edna to bits, and the only reason I've rated this a little bit lower than I probably would have liked to is the fact that it has sat in Owen's dad's garage for like 3 years now and we haven't used it.
Sorry Dad.
Yeah, but me and Owen bought this car together, and we both say it's really sentimental. It's the first car we ever bought together, and it's ultimately the car that started us on this deep decline into owning over 80 cars between the two of us in the last 6 or 7 years. So we find that car really, really special. I actually used it as an occasional daily. At the time, I used it for about 2 years, so we did put some miles on it, we did some off-roading in it. We love that car. The plan is we want to get a few of the projects gone here so that Edna can come up here, probably be restored, and then have a garage space where she can sort of be a special occasion car, because right now we don't see ourselves letting go of that car. It's special, first car we bought together, and that's why that comes in at number 10. Car number 9 is my Skoda favourite Forum Estate, and again, maybe some of you would have thought this car would have been a little bit higher, but you'll see the cars at the top of the list, obviously. The Forum Estate is an incredible car, and I absolutely love it. I am so happy we saved that car, and I'm really happy it's the car we stuck with when it came to every other car that we bought out of West Wales. It's incredibly rare. It gets a lot of attention. A lot of people love how basic it is, that it's just exactly as it would have been, and for that reason I love it. The reason I'm rating it down a little bit is because I may or may not have agreed to sell this car, and ultimately therefore it's not going to be a car that stays. However, similar to my Forum hatchback, the Forum Estate is going to a really, really good home, and it will get to live a life of happiness and Skoda favourite enthusiasticness, I guess if that's what you want to call it. But yeah, just because of a few other cars, I've put the favourite a little bit lower because I don't tend to use it that much unless it's sort of an event. Car number 8 is my Volvo 480 Turbo Vinny. Again, maybe some of you would have thought this car would have been a bit higher. I bought that car basically as a scrap car in complete bits. It was horrendous. We bought it while we were down the caravan. Something about the caravan means me and Owen buy cars. But we put so much time and effort into that car, and when I say we, I mean Owen again, because COVID hit, it was at Owen's house, so Owen got that car on the road for me, completely on the road for me. He spent months and months of his time, probably quite a nice thing actually with COVID, to get that car on the road. We got it running, we used it as it was, we had it fully resprayed, we've put new lights on it, we've just finished a few other electrical things for its MOT. So we've put so much time and effort into that car. The only reason I'm rating it lower than some people might expect is because it has been a bit of a problematic car. Don't hide away from the fact that it's broken down on us a few times. It's always got us home, but it has broken down on us a few times and it has caused us a little bit of grief. Ultimately, those cars are known for it. They are known for being slight electrical nightmares. And that's the only reason I'm rating it a little bit lower. But I do love that car, and as some of you might know, that car is likely going to be going soon, and it does make me very sad that that car is probably not going to be in the garage in the next few months. Car number 7 is another car that never would have featured on the channel. It's my Fiat Panda 100 horsepower Eve. Now, this is the car that I bought after Percy. In fact, I owned Percy and Eve sort of at the same time. But oh my god, I love that car, and if anyone was to tell me should I buy 100 horsepower, I'd say absolutely. That car is fun, it's fast, and I think they just look really, really cool. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. Mine was very low mileage. I think I only bought it on about 25,000 miles. It was a top spec Pandemonium, so it had different wheels, different colours, sunroof, everything, and it was modified. So mine handled like a go-kart. I think Andy drove it a few times and he was like, this handles 10 times better than the standard one. It was really quite decked. Loud exhaust, had a Bath exhaust on it. I'd done loads of work to that car. Some of it was done before I bought it. I'm not going to hide away from that. Previous owner, thank you to him, had put some really nice touches on it, and then I just sort of finished it off with my own stuff. But I love that car. And again, it's another reason why I kept going with this Panda scene and why I love the Pandas is I made some really good friends, and it inevitably led to me meeting some of the people who are most important to me in my life. Car number 6 is another car that is no longer with us, as in it's still alive, it's just not here with us. It's my Fiat 124 Spider, and I say this to everyone. If the wrap company hadn't ruined my paint, that car would still be here and that wouldn't be there. I stand by it. The 124 is one of the best cars I've ever driven, and I think some people think, oh, 140 horsepower, that's really slow. It was fast enough, it handled well, it looked so cool. We adored that car, and I was absolutely heartbroken when we realised what's happened to the wrap. Basically, for a long story short, someone wrapped it, they wrapped it like...
Didn't do it very well.
I won't swear, I'll get very angry. It was done like rubbish, I'm trying to be polite about it. And unfortunately it ruined my paint to the sum of about 5,000 plus.
Well, a little bit more than that. It was wrapped once, so it was removed by another company, a reputable company this time, the second one.
This is what made it worse.
And then what was more annoying is that they, I think, were even worse than the first one.
They were worse than the first one, yeah.
So naming no names currently.
Yeah. Not naming any names.
Maybe we'll do a nice video on that one day. But
yeah, basically it was wrapped twice, and both companies ruined it, and we then had it taken off because it was just so bad, it was picking everywhere, and the paint was completely ruined. And I was heartbroken about it. And yeah, as I say, £5,000 plus to fix the paint because it was the metallic black. So at the time, the Fiat garage that Owen worked at helped me out because I don't lie about it, that car was on finance. I was short of the finance agreement only by a year or so, but they paid me out enough to pay me out of my finance agreement and give me a bit on top to get into something else. Yeah,
absolutely. Number 5, we have Betty.
Yeah, number 5 is my 1988 Fiat Panda 1000 CL Betty, the first classic Fiat Panda I ever owned. And the reason I ended up meeting Owen was Betty. Betty was a bit of a dog of the Fiat Panda. I'm not going to sit here and say that she was great, but I absolutely loved her. Put my own touch on it, which when I look back I think, oh my god, that's terrible. But I love that car. It was a very original car when I bought it. And we ended up selling it on when I bought Charmander, which is coming up in a second obviously.
Yes.
But when we bought Charmander, we sold Betty on. And then she came back up for sale about a year ago, looking even worse than when I'd sold her.
Much worse.
And I begged the owner, I was like, please, please, I will buy it back, I want to buy it back. And I basically bought it back for what I'd sold it to him for a few years ago.
Yeah.
And as of right now, maybe I'll give you a better update in another month or so, that car's about to go in for full works because circumstances have changed with storage elsewhere. But
it's going there for a while though, isn't it?
It's going to be there for a while. I've get onto him in a second, but the person who did Mr. P is going to also be doing my lovely little Betty. I'm really excited about it. For anyone who's seen the photos of it when I put my own touch on it, yeah, okay, I thought it looked okay, but now I look back and think, oh my god, I want it original. So she's going to be a completely original Fiat Panda 1000 CL. So watch this space. And Betty, I love you, even though you look awful right now. Number 4 is a car that we were never going to buy. In fact, I just sold the 124 Spider. And I said I wasn't going to buy another car, and then this came up for 500 quid. That is Kelly, who's my Skoda favourite LXIE Plus Flairline Edition, and God knows how I always remember that name every time, but there we go. We bought Kelly for 500 quid. She was an okay Skoda favourite, but she was perfectly usable, new MOT, everything like that. And I don't know how, but that car has really clinged on to me and Owen. We both actually really love that car. It's never let us down. It's tried to with the immobiliser.
It had immobiliser issues.
It had immobiliser issues for a bit, and we were quite upset about it. But we've put our own touch on that car. Owen bought me some alloys.
Yes.
I put body kit on it. I put the spoiler on it. I spent
Exhaust.
the exhaust.
So it costs as much as the car, everybody.
Costs as much as the car. The interior. We've done so many touches to that car, and I remember when it was on the road, it doesn't look great right now, and I don't hide away from that. Eventually that will get done as well, don't worry. But when it was done, I remember us thinking, oh, we've made this look really cool. It looks really, really nice and something a bit different. And that's why we can't sell that car. So again, yeah, okay, the Forum Estate is more original and it's going, but I have other original cars. And for me, I want to finish Kelly. We want to get Kelly done. We have some big plans for Kelly to make her a little bit more different again, but again, sort of OEM plus. Okay. Yeah, we love Kelly, even though she sat in the corner. If we went and checked a battery on her now, I would bet you £1,000 she'd start straight away, because she has never not started.
Yeah.
Car number 3 is over here, looking quite sorry for herself, to be honest with you. It's my Nissan 300ZX Twin Turbo, and it feels a bit controversial for me to be saying that when it's been sat here for a year doing nothing. But this was one of my dream cars. From the moment I met Owen, I'd always said I'd love a 300ZX at some point. And when this came up, I could not pass on the opportunity. I remember the day I picked it up, I literally felt like a little kid. I still feel like a little kid every time I get in it. Maybe because it's a huge car and I'm not a very big girl. But I adore this car to the absolute world. And you know what? It's sat here now because the clutch release bearing is gone, which it's a very small part, but it's a really big pain in the ass job. And the only reason I haven't had it done is because of other cars costing me a lot of my money and stuff with the house, and ultimately it's not been a priority. But the plan is potentially once the Skoda Favourite Estate goes, this is going to go in with the garage down the bottom. And I'm not just doing the clutch release bearing, I'm going to do the clutch, it's going to have service, it's going to have all the stuff done to renew it and get it back on the road, because my God, do I miss this car. And when it sits here for a bit, I sometimes think, should I sell it? I'm not going to hide away from the fact I have said it to her once or twice.
Yeah.
But we've both said we know as soon as we get back in this and drive it, we're not going to want it to go anywhere. It's a really special car, and it's as fast as all of our other cars put together. So it's quite fun to have quite a fast car in the collection, to be honest with you as well.
I can put the phone away now, guys, because G knows the top 2, so it's fine.
Indeed, yeah. Number 2 is sat with me now. It's Mr. P, the Renault Twingo, and you know, basically Owen owned this car, and then he said he was going to sell it, and I was like, you can't sell him.
Had it a long time.
He had had it a long time. I was like, you can't sell him. Look at his happy face. Can't sell him. So he sold it to me, and now I feel like an absolute mug for doing that, to be honest with you, because it was so bad. So I put it in for a full respray. I ended up basically welding an entire new Twingo onto this car in effect.
It would have been easier to have bought another one.
It absolutely would have been easier for me to buy another car, but here we are. He's been fully restored, and oh my God, I adore this car. I think it's just the happiest car in the world. I don't care what people say about MX-5s. This is the happiest car in the world, followed very closely by the MX-5, I'll give it that. But this is such a happy car. He brings me so much happiness. He brings Owen so much happiness. And even though when we found out the welding, we were both like, scrap it. And then Gareth was like, please can we save it? And then I was like, okay, let's just do this, why not? Yeah. We're both now really happy that he sort of pushed us over that.
It was that close to going in the bin, wasn't it?
It was that close to going in the bin. And I would like to point out to people that Gareth never forced me to do it.
No, he didn't.
Never at any point did he force me to do this. He wanted to see it saved, and I sort of went with heart over mind, and my heart won this one. I always say that. But yeah, he is a fully restored now Mark 1 Twingo. He's on 200,000 kilometres. You cannot tell from the outside. This paint job is amazing. I tell everyone who comes over to see him, Can you tell where Gareth has welded? Because you can't tell. He's fabricated the bottom of the wings, he's fabricated the entire sills, he's fabricated the scuttle.
Half the floor. And,
half the floor.
Yeah.
You can't tell. It's honestly an incredible job. And I actually went to go and see Gareth a few days ago just to have a look at the car, make sure he's happy with it and do a few little checkups. And he still said it's one of his favourite projects because he definitely thought it was going to go in the bin. And we saved him. And he's here today. And for everyone who told me it wasn't worth it, it's valued at nearly double what I put into the car now.
It doesn't matter because it's not for sale.
It's not for sale. It's not going to be for sale. But it never wasn't going to feel worth it to me. I was always going to save the car regardless. But when they came back and gave me the valuation they did, I was very, very happy because it felt like all the time and effort we put into was worth it. So huge shout out goes to GBR Paintwork and Restorations, who will also be taking on Betty, as I've just told you, because without them, Mr. P would no longer be here to grace you all with his happy little face. And car number one is, of course, the one, the only. It's Charmander,
yes.
Fiat Panda.
Nobody expects this to be at number one, I don't think.
No,
they expect this, I think.
No one expects this to be at number one, except Owen.
Yeah, no, it's just, you've had it so long.
Yeah,
and I've done so much in this car, especially this year, obviously.
I've owned Charmander now for 6 years. I bought him at the end of 2018. It's the longest I've ever owned a car, by far. And as Owen said, we've done so much in that car. We calculated it before. I've done 25,000 miles in that car. It's more miles than I've ever done in any car. And in that time, it has never, ever let me down. And I know, obviously, you're thinking, oh, but before we went to Italy, you had to have the whole head done, rah, rah, rah. It never broke down.
It never broke down.
And when it sat in the garage,
we left it there for a year.
We sat it in the corner for a year and a half nearly.
Yeah.
It still drove into the garage to have the work done. It's never let us down. And yeah, okay, I say this to everyone who saw him at the NEC, he looks a bit rubbish now. The paint's 4 years old. It was the cheapest paint job we could have possibly done, but he represents everything that I'm about. I always say that Charmander is more than a car. He's like a best mate. He's fun. He's cheap. Again, I think I paid £650.
Yeah.
650 pounds for that car. And I calculated the other day, and I don't think I've spent more than £1,200-1,300 ever on that car. Not including insurance, tax and petrol, because petrol for 25,000 miles would be shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think about Charmander being number one?
I think I would expect it. I always knew that your top three was going to be sort of like, is that third?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that the top three was going to be Char, Mr. P and the 300. I think a lot of people expect that to maybe be the top three, but I don't think they expect the order that it's actually going to be in. So number one being Char is what I would expect because you've owned it so long, had so many memories in it, doing Pandino in it, even prior to the respray, you were using that car all the time. So yeah, it's just a car that's stuck around and one that you've really enjoyed. So it deserves to be there. And
I did say, I said this to a few people when we were at the NEC, it means a lot to me that it's done something for me like close to my heart as well. We did Halloween Action Day a few weeks ago actually, and Char got chosen as the top 50 car and I got to go on the intercom. I was terrified, but I got to go on the intercom and I got to talk about what we've done and what we're raising money for. And I talked to my dad about it, and because in case you guys don't know, my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He's still being treated for it, and that's the reason why I did it. I'm not going to say that he thinks it's the best car in the world. He loves it for what I've done for it, and he says it's sort of like nice for him because he feels like we're doing something for a charity that means a lot to him, but we're doing it through something that we love. And yeah, as you said, we got to do 2,500 miles around Europe in it this year. We've taken it to Europe before this as well. We've got plans to take it even further in the future. We love that car, and we also trust that car. Yeah. And I think that's a rarity. Sometimes it's hard to trust an old car. We trust Char to the end of the world. Would never give us a problem. No. And if he did, he'd still drive home after it, so it doesn't matter that much. That is 27 cars. Yeah. That's 27 cars. 27 cars. Now, at the start of the video, you probably noticed that we said we've owned 81. So I think it might be, it's over 80. It's 81, 82. We were literally just talking about this off camera. It's 81, 82. We need to figure out. Yeah. But that means that a huge percentage of that is owned by... Or has been owned by? Has been owned by... me. Mr. Owen. At the moment, 2 of his cars are in shop. Douglas. And 4x4. Yeah. Yeah, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to do that in a separate video because I bet this is a long video. Oh yeah. His video is going to be even longer. But we know it'll be worth it. We know you guys will love to see this sort of thing People love hearing about our collection and the sort of stuff we've owned.
I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to do like a top 5 or top 10 after listing them all, because ranking over 60 cars is going to be a mega pain.
I'm sure the top 3 doesn't surprise. In fact, the top 4. Top 4 doesn't surprise me or Owen at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you've got any questions on any of the cars I've owned, put them in the comments below. I will get back to you. I love talking about all the cars I've owned, why I like them, why maybe I didn't like them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, put them in the comments below. Like, comment and subscribe, and we will see you all in the next one.